Welcome to Be My Guest, a special series celebrating 25 years of unforgettable moments and the people who made them possible. Every conversation is a tribute to the journey so far and a toast to what's still ahead. Follow or subscribe and be part of our journey. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my next episode of Be My Guest with Steve Crearis. I am your host, Steve Crearis, and today I have the ultimate pleasure of having with me Akis Papadopoulos from Wine Art Estate. Akis, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
It's great to have you here in Canada, of course.
Likewise.
Maybe next time we can do this little podcast in Greece in your winery.
Why not? That would be great.
Akis is from the Wine Art Estate up in Drama, and I'd love you to tell us a little bit about the history of your winery to start with.
Well, our winery started in the early to mid 90s.
Yes?
My father started it. My father, Yiannis Papadopoulos, is a civil engineer, so wine was not his profession.
How did a civil engineer get into wine? Or he liked wine?
He liked the wine. Of course, he was a wine lover. And at some point, he decided that he wanted to make his own wine.
Okay.
Well, he soon realized that in order to produce high quality wines, he needed to invest in terms of infrastructures and equipment.
Okay.
And he was also joined by his friend Yiannis Kalaitsidis, another non-wine relevant person, an architect.
Okay.
So Wine Art Estate was created over the years and evolved into what it is today, a winery with its own identity.
Which I would have to agree 100%. And I also believe that in the world of Vrama, Greece, I'd like to say that you're actually putting Vrama back on the map again, because going back into the 90s and early 2000s, other wineries like Lazares, etc., had made a big name for Vrama. And then for a while that had kind of sort of fizzled away. And then in the last decade, I want to say, you've really put Vrama back on the map in a big way, which is really exciting. I mean, needless to say, you make phenomenal wines, some of my favorite wines in Greece, including this wine we're about to have here today. You studied where?
I studied chemistry first in Greece, and then I went to Bordeaux to study enology.
Bordeaux.
So in 2009, I returned from my studies and I took over the whole winemaking part of the job.
Was there any pushback from the family when you took over? You can be honest here. The whole world's listening, so it's fine. It doesn't matter.
The transition was quite challenging at first because it was my father who used to take care of that part of the job. I mean, winemaking. Although his background was not related to wine, but he was guided by consultants.
Fair.
So when I took over, he had his own, clear way of doing things, and I just couldn't follow that. I mean, I would like to try something out of the box. So at first he was a bit hesitant,
Okay.
but after results showed, and we had the acceptance of wine people, critics. We had some high scores from wine magazines, medals from international wine competitions, etc. He totally got it and gradually stepped out of this part of the business.
So what was the first thing that you saw when you came back from Bordeaux in the winery and said, okay, this has to go right away?
Well, I didn't want to change the philosophy of the estate.
Fair.
I just wanted to do some fine tuning regarding some things. I mean, the character of our wines. So what I really wanted to change was that I wanted to shift focus from power and intensity into balance.
Okay. Hence where you've come now, and you've been now at the helm of the winery for how long?
Since 2009. Yeah, it's been like 15 years or so.
Bravo. And we've been together now for 10
years.
10 plus years, yeah, which is amazing. Because I've too have watched the evolution of your wines over time, the new labels you've put out, etc. And I've kind of garnered a new appreciation for the philosophy you've instilled and the ethos you've instilled in the winery and where you're going as a style. As I mentioned before, I mean, this is one of my favorite wines. If you want to just do the honors of pouring some of this and tell us a little bit about this wine.
So this wine is Yiannis Madrios Ascetico. Yiannis Madrios is our range, our line of wines.
Can you tell everybody listening what does Yiannis Madrios mean?
Yes. Yiannis stands for sweet, pleasant. Drios means oak in Greek. So it's the sweet, pleasant taste that oak barrels bestow to the wines that mature into them.
Okay.
And other than being aged, this wine into oak barrels, it has also been fermented. So it has been fermented and aged for about 6 months. And this is a good example of our overall philosophy regarding wines that have been aged in oak, because we want to achieve a certain balance between the oaky side and the fruity side coming from the grape itself, the Assyrtiko. So we want, of course, to enhance the character by adding more layers by using oak, but
Hmm.
we don't want the oak to overshadow
Of course, of course.
the.
And funny you should say that, because one of the debates I've always had with producers on the island of Santorini is to oak or not to oak. And I've always had this debate with a lot of Santorini producers, because I find that sometimes when you oak Santorini wines, it changes the character.
Mhm.
But it's taken about, I'd say, a good 10, 15 years, especially now I've seen some of the results coming out of Arioso State, that they're gently adding in oak more on a balanced level versus over oaking the wines like in the old days they would. And now they're starting to produce more powerful wines with more oak, which is probably why really enjoying this wine, like kind of thing, on a daily basis, which I really love. Getting back to the family business.
Yeah.
How is it working in the family business, the family environment?
It has its pros and cons for
Mhm.
sure. Um, I've already said that my father is no longer involved into the winemaking part of the job, but he's still involved into the decision making, marketing wise and strategy wise. So it's normal that we have some, arguments from time to time, but
Disagreements, we'll call them. That's all.
disagreements. You're
Right.
right. But the thing is that it's not about a battle of egos, but
Okay.
it's just about having different perceptions over things. And at the end of the day, there's respect. So we get along and we find common ground, so we can move on.
Of course. Of course. I was recently in the winery last year again, visiting. Beautiful estate. And I know it just keeps growing, which I really love. I love the underground passageway going underneath the street, coming out the other way, which is sort of nice. When we were there last, you had mentioned to me you've planted some vineyards very high in elevation.
Yes.
Can you let us know a little bit about that?
That's a project that we are thrilled about, because the last few years we have all been experiencing climate change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that is in theory, but it's very practical. With higher temperatures and ripeness coming earlier and earlier every year, we had to do something in order to compensate the impact of climate change to the quality of our grapes.
Yeah.
And what we decided to do is to relocate or plant new vineyards at cooler places, which means at higher altitude. So we have now started planting at places ranging from 600 meter of altitude, going up to 1100 meter, which is the highest vineyard in Greece. And with
1,100 meters.
1100 meters,
Okay.
yes. And we have noticed that there was a huge temperature difference of 9 degrees Celsius, which is
Wow.
amazing.
That's
It's
a
like
big
being in
difference.
another country with a
Yeah.
totally different climate. So what we're aiming to do is to achieve freshness and elegance, especially for our,
You would also get better acidity up there?
of course,
Yeah.
of course,
And what
aromas.
grape varieties do you have up there?
We've started with Sauvignon Blanc,
Okay.
which is
Which will
part of
work
the
well up there, yeah.
yeah, which is part of the typical blend of our region, Sauvignon Blanc and Assyrtiko. And we have also planted Chardonnay and Malvasia.
Fantastic. They should all do quite well up there, actually.
I hope so, yeah.
Let's start with this Assyrtiko, which is one of my favorites again. Cheers to that. Thank you.
Cheers.
I love this one.
What do you think?
I could drink this wine every day of my life, to be honest with you. But tell me a little about the tasting notes of this wine.
Yeah, on the nose, we can smell the fruity notes coming from the grape, like pear, peachy notes, and then you have the oak
Mm-hmm.
coming in, adding extra layers, toasty notes, hazelnut, vanilla, enhancing the nose of the wine, but also the mouth, as you get this sweetness.
Yeah.
That although it's bone dry,
Yes.
that sweetness derives from the oak itself.
I've had a pleasure of actually having this wine just last winter, believe it or not, with steak.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah.
actually paired so well with the steak. It was unbelievable. The smokiness from the barrel and stuff paired perfectly well with the spices that were in the food and stuff. And it was just an unbelievable pairing.
And we're practicing the batonnage, which is the finely steering for
Yeah.
all the 6 months that the wine ages in the barrel. So it is enhanced in terms of volume and complexity, and it can easily stand next to, like you said, steak.
Yeah. For sure. I know it's not easy to pick and choose, but if you had to pick one wine or your favorite wine from your state, what would it be?
Well, that changes from time to time.
Okay.
So, to be honest, in the past it used to be this one, but currently I'm more on the red side.
Okay.
So I would go for our Aedes Madrioscus in Omavro, which is a grape.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful wine.
I love the grape, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Xenomavro.
It's a great grape variety. I would have to agree with
Yeah.
you. And there's so many different ways you can make the wine, so many different styles you can make
Absolutely,
the
very
wine out of,
versatile.
including rosés, lighter bodied reds. It's very versatile.
Even Blanc de Noir.
Yes. Good point. Any plans on making sparkling wine?
Not yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Maybe in the
Okay.
future, but yeah, not yet. Not for now.
As far as the winery's vision, are you following the path that you've dreamed of and envisioned in the past? Are you going along that path you want to be on?
You know, varieties wise, although we started mostly with international grapes, over the last 10, 15 years or so, we have also been working more intensively with Greek grapes. And I
Yes.
think that's the future.
I would have to agree.
For our wines to have a more international perspective. So yes, we have been focusing on that, and we will keep doing that in the future.
As far as drama goes as an appellation, thoughts? I know you're from Microhori, I believe, in drama, and you're based out of there, of course. Where do you see the future of drama going as far as the region goes?
So we are trying. Well, like I said before, uh, what is drama famous for is for its blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Assyrtiko.
Yes.
So now we are at this point that we're trying to get a PDO appellation for this specific blend.
Okay.
And it's a good start to get, to draw more attention as a region, as a whole.
Are the other producers on board with the same idea?
Yes, we're all
They're all on board. Yeah.
Yes.
That's very exciting news for the region, that's for sure. And I know you make very distinct wines in that area as well, which is what I've always loved about Drama for many, many years. And I do believe that it can be one of the next up and coming appellations of all of Greece, to be honest.
We hope so.
And
We hope so.
honestly speaking, you've been spearheading that movement for a good 15 years now with what you're producing, the exposure you're getting, the publicity you're getting, which has been amazing. Articles written up about you and stuff. And I love the fact you always stay nice and humble and down to earth when it comes to this, because at the end of the day, wine is just for pleasure and for enjoyment.
Yes.
You have to always remember, and
we have to keep it simple,
and keep it simple. Yes,
That's what intimidates people nowadays, and that's what we have to change our.
100%, 100%. Is there anything else you're planting in the vineyards right now that you want to have for the
Yeah,
future?
we're constantly experimenting with new grapes, mostly Greek, like I said, indigenous grapes. So we do have some plans for future releases, but we're still working on them, and we'll see how it goes. But we're very optimistic.
That's awesome. I know you have 2 young children.
Yes.
In your vision, do you envision the kids taking over the family business?
I can't say that. I mean,
They're still
you
young,
cannot
yeah.
push someone do something that he doesn't like. I hope they will like it, because wine is a thing for many generations.
Yes.
It takes many years.
You
so-
invest now for 20 years later, you have the results. Absolutely.
or even more, huh? Or even
Even more, that's for sure. I mean, if you think about some of the big estates that have been around for hundreds of years, they've been doing this thinking 10 generations ahead of where they're going and stuff. Yeah. Do you have expansions in place for the winery itself?
Right now, we want to keep the volume as it is, because we want to maintain the quality of our wines, but also, and most importantly, the quality of our lives.
Very important, because we go down the rabbit hole in this world sometimes and we never stop working.
And we
Around the
we
clock.
don't have to be greedy. I mean,
That's for sure.
we're fine as we are. So yeah.
I want you to give me your professional insights on where you see the Greek wine world going,
There have been
outside of just your winery, your world.
Well, there has been a lot of progress. We cannot deny that in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And there was more focus on precision, on quality, more work in the vineyard, more knowledge, and more younger generation people stepping into the business.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
And bringing a new, perspective of how we should present our wines at an international context. So I'm very optimistic about the future of Greek wine, but of course there's a lot to be done at the same time.
Of course, of course. I've always said that, Greeks makes inexpensive wines and inexpensive quality wines. We always have that delta going on with Greece. We're kind of stuck in the middle ground, which I do appreciate the fact, though, that you're pushing the envelope on the quality and the price aspect so that your wines, regardless of the price you're at, whether it's 20, 30, 50, 80, $100 a bottle, there's value at every level, which is important.
Like you say, we cannot compete other countries in terms of volumes and cheap wines, let's say. But what we have to highlight is the uniqueness and the authenticity of our wines and of our unique grapes. I mean, the Greek ones.
What's the total production of the winery now?
Total production is around 450,000 bottles a year in total, red, white, and rosé.
Excellent number. Excellent number. That's a good, healthy number to be at the boutique mid-size we want to be at.
Yes.
It produces beautiful wines. If you had some advice for the next generation of youth getting into the wine business in Greece, what would it be?
To follow their instincts and not overthink, not overanalyze. They have to be bold and, stop thinking and start making decisions.
Stop thinking, start making decisions. Okay. I also think we have a pretty decent wine movement in the youth in Greece as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I see that a lot in Athens. There's more wine bars opening up, more wine bottle shops opening up. Cavas are opening up everywhere, which is kind of nice. And they're getting more people involved in the whole wine world. And I'm glad they're getting away from all those miglika and sweet wines and stuff. That's slowly dying. Epitelos has been 10 years
to move ahead over the last 10 years.
Correct. Yes, I agree. And I noticed that obviously due to the climate in Greece, white wine is still a very strong position in Greece.
All over the world, actually. It's
growing for sure. Yeah, white wine is growing for sure as far as the trend goes. Yeah, but in Greece, we're at what, 70% white wine?
Yes.
A very high number compared to other countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, when you have summer for 8 months a year,
so it makes sense.
It makes sense to have whites and reds, light-bodied reds and stuff. But yeah, and I thank you for coming on the show today.
My pleasure.
Being
My
here.
pleasure.
I want to do this again in a few years to see the evolution of where you are as a winemaker, as a family estate, the growth. And
I'd love to do that.
And we can compare notes and see where we were then and where we are now.
That'd be
kind of
great.
exciting, that's for sure. But thank you for being here. Thank you for listening in this episode today, everyone, and we'll look forward to the next one.